let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the Skooshi Sports Podcast, bringing you your latest news from around the sporting globe in the last week. Going to be touching a little bit on the latest from the rugby union over the weekend. The rugby championship had a couple games there. AFL finals had the semi-finals. We've got 3 games to go for the season. Coming a bit of baseball. We're coming so close to the playoffs. Literally 2 weeks of the regular season left to go. Touching a little bit of darts as well. Got my input and got a little bit info from the dad. He absolutely loves it. And we're going to be touching a little bit of golf to finish off the episode. Had a couple tournaments over the weekend. We've got the Ryder Cup next weekend as well. Absolutely super pumped for that as well. If you're just listening now or watching now, I had my NRL Finals Week 1 review and NRLW Round 11 review come out yesterday as well. Obviously, I have my Week 3 of the Red Zone report coming out for you tomorrow as well. Absolutely love doing that show at the moment. It is so good to do. But before I start on the rugby, and it touches a little bit on the rugby, but while I was getting ready for this podcast, I did my notes and stuff, and beforehand, had a shower, do my hair, make sure I look really nice for the podcast, and then I go and choose a shirt, and I'm like, what shirt do I feel like wearing a jersey today? And if you listen to the podcast and you haven't seen my setup before, you'll see there's 3 jerseys behind me. You'll see there's an All Blacks jersey, there's a Carolina Panthers jersey, there's a New Zealand Warriors jersey. I felt like wearing one of those 3 today. And then I realized the All Blacks lost, my Carolina Panthers lost, and the Warriors lost as well. And I thought, don't do it, Skooshi. Don't do it. You went 0 from 3 in your teams this weekend. And then I thought, you know what? I might wear a Patrick Mahomes jersey. That's another jersey I've got stored. Then I realized he lost on the weekend as well. He's 0-2. So all the jerseys that I own, complete losers over the weekend. Just absolutely not my weekend whatsoever. I think I'm still trying to get over it as well. Just absolutely unreal what we saw over the weekend. I, of course, will be bringing you my Women's Player of the Week as well, which is where I will kick off the show for you as well. So, my Women's Player of the Week, we've had a couple from the NRLW. We've had some from the WNBA as well. This one's a little bit different. It's not generally a sport I cover. It's definitely a sport I played as a kid. And that's soccer or, football as you know it. So this person is Australian. She's just come back from injury and it's such a good story. Had an ACL rupture early last year in about January, February. It's taken her 20 months to come back from injury, from rehab. And she's just come back in her first game back in the Women's Premier League for Chelsea, coming off the bench, and that is Australian captain, Matilda's captain and striker, playing for Chelsea, Sam Kerr. She gets my Women's Player of the Week. Give it a little clap. What a story this is. Coming back from an ACL rupture 20 months ago, as I said, she did it at the start of last year. It's been such a long rehab process for her. She came off the bench against Aston Villa in the 74th minute when they're up 2-1. She was able to score in the 93rd minute to get the win for Chelsea 3-1. And it wasn't just about, the first game back for her and scoring off the bench and a good return. It was the fact that it was a 100th goal for the Chelsea Football Club. And not just a 100th goal, I believe she was the 12th male and female to get to that that monumental target, which is outstanding. But she has become the fastest ever player in the Chelsea Football Club history at all men and all women in the whole history to reach 100 goals or faster. She's done it in 126 games, which is absolutely unreal. Nearly 1 goal a game. Just to compare, we'll look at the men's side. We'll look at the greatest goal scorer that Chelsea's ever had. And I get it. He was a midfielder. But Frank Lampard, he scored about 216 goals for Chelsea or something like that. It took him over 400 games to get to 100 goals. I'll compare it to another Chelsea striker who was awesome back in the 2000s, 2010s, Didier Drogba. He was a striker for Chelsea. He scored over 100 goals. He took 226 games to get to that milestone. Nearly 100 games more than what Sam Kerr has just done. So absolutely incredible achievement, and it not just shows how talented and how hard she's worked in the past to get to where she is now, but to come back from an ACL rupture 20 months ago and to come on and to put in a performance like that off the bench just shows how resilient she is, and such a testament to her hard work to come back and to just keep motivated and keep believing that she can come back and do it, and to be the fastest ever player in men's and women's in Chelsea's club history to get to that 100-goal milestone in just 126 games, I said, is absolutely incredible. So massive shout out to Sam Kerr, the Matilda's captain, the Matilda's striker, and the Chelsea striker as well. She gets my Women's Player of the Week for the week. Absolutely outstanding. And we'll now start off with... I'm going to start this off with a bit of rugby union because I either got to talk about it or I've just got to get over it and get it off my chest. So, had the rugby championship over the weekend. So, last week I was absolutely so happy with how the All Blacks played. Getting that win in Ardie Savea's 100th game against South Africa, I believe it was 24-17. We are at the top of the rugby championship leaderboard. And we go to Wellington this week, and Wellington has not been our favourite home stadium whatsoever in like the last 10, 11 years. I believe we're 4 from 11 there in the last 11 games, which is just unheard of for a New Zealand or like an All Blacks home ground. And South Africa, they obviously were disappointed from the loss last week. They've been a bit disappointed. They had that loss against Australia, and they named their team like on Monday or Tuesday. Like Rassie, the South African coach, changed the back line, and he brought out the team early just to sort of stamp that, you know, he still believes in his troops and he's ready to go for this week. And the All Blacks team came out on Thursday, and there were definitely a couple of changes. We had Noah Hotham. He was debuting at 9 for the All Blacks. Finlay Christie was on the bench. That was a bit different to last week. We had debutant Leroy Carter. He was debuting in the left wing. So usually we've had Will Jordan. He's been starting at fullback. He went back to the wing. So Sever Reese has been injured. And just a couple of under injuries as well. Like Rico, he wasn't there either. And I mean, props to Leroy Carter for scoring on debut, which is awesome to see. But holy dooly. I mean, what the hell happened here? South Africa beats New Zealand, the All Blacks, 43-10 in Wellington. Let me just say that again, even though I don't want to say it. 43 points to 10. 33-point margin, the biggest ever loss for the All Blacks in their history of rugby union as a country. You think how much history this side has, going back to way back when I was born, before Wales, but before my dad was born, around before my granddad was born. Absolutely insane. It was the biggest ever loss the All Blacks had ever had. And I was trying to think of like just as bad games that I've seen in my lifetime. And I remember we lost to England by over 20, like probably sort of 10 or so years ago in England. And when we lose, it's generally a tight game, or like it's like it was just amazing scenes. It was so bad as an All Blacks fan. I was so angry, but I was so amazed. I could not honestly take my eyes off the screen. Don't get me wrong, this was at the same time as the Warriors game, but I was able to watch the second half of this like focused while after the Warriors game finished, and I just could not believe what I was seeing. 43-10 full time. It was 10-7 to the All Blacks at half time. 10-7. 36-0 second half. What? 36-0 second half. It was absolutely just... I was gobsmacked. I could not believe what I was watching. And I just want to start absolute full credit to South Africa Springboks for the performance they put in. They absolutely deserved it. They absolutely carved us up everywhere on the field in that second half. One of the best performances I've seen from a rugby team in my, honestly, recency bias, but Jesus, I cannot think of a better performance on that sort of stage in New Zealand. It was against us. It was absolutely incredible scenes, and full credit to South Africa for replying back after that loss last week, and I was just amazed watching it. I just could not believe it. I was so mad and angry watching it, but at the same time, I was just like, wow, I have to watch because I've never seen anything like this in my life, and I hope I don't ever see it ever again, honestly. And they came out the blocks firing South Africa, and they nearly scored in like the first 2 minutes it seemed, and we withheld that pressure really well, I thought. And then 10 minutes in, they scored under the post. It was super strange. I don't think I've ever seen this before. They took the conversion like instantly, like straight after the try was awarded, right? Ref blew the whistle. Try, yep, cool. South Africa kicked the conversion 7-0. But it was a quick conversion. And then after, they've looked at the replay, and the number 9 for South Africa has actually knocked it on in a little bit of a previous play. And I said, this is after the conversion. We should be going back to the kickoff. And they've looked at it and they've brought it back. So went back to 0-0, which was a bit of a savior for us. Honestly, we could have had a 50 burger conceded against us. And then we are able to withstand that pressure. And then after 20 minutes, Leroy Carter scores on debut. A lovely move to the left. He strolls in. It was awesome to see. He was absolutely jacked up. 7-0 after 17 minutes. I was pumped. I was like, bang. Look, I had a little bit of my doubts for this game, but bang. That is the start that we needed. We need to be 7-0 up. And then we get another chance. We're inside the South African 22. Bang. Cheslin Colby intercept in the 25th minute when we had a chance to at least make it 10-0 if we got a penalty. Even better, make it 12-0 or 14-0 with another try. Instead, we go left again, and I believe it was one of the Barrett brothers threw an intercept straight to Cheslin Colby. And you're never stopping a guy like that. He's an absolute speedster. He was able to score 7-0, and that was such a shame. But it is what it is. Intercepts happen. We continue on. We get a penalty before halftime. We go into the halftime break up 10-7. And I have absolutely no idea what the chat would have been at halftime with those South African players. To come out and put on a performance like that was just, I'm still in disbelief, honestly. All started with a Colby. He scored his double. He scored early on. He scored in like the 45th minute, I believe, to make it 14-10. Then they got the ball back, went down and got another penalty. So 17-10. Just like that, it went from a 3-point, you're leading by 3 to down by 7 within 5 minutes, it felt like. And by then, it was just, it all started happening so quickly. 17-10 down, 20 minutes to go. We have a line out on our own 5-meter line, one that we had to win and obviously clear the ball. We lose the line out. It looked like we didn't even contest the line out. I had no idea what was going on. Bang, Sarah score, 24-10. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh shit. Oh shit. All of a sudden we're losing 24-10 at home against the back-to-back world champions and who will look like they've come to play. And then it seemed like they just panicked straight away. We looked so clunky. Looked like we were just trying super weird shit completely against our game plan from last week. And the defense just absolutely crumbled after. I haven't seen All Blacks defense that bad, I don't think, ever. It was just absolutely abysmal to see. Tackles falling off everywhere. We looked tired out there. We just looked like we were like way slower than South African players. And as I said, from 24-10 after that, they managed to score 3 tries in the last 10 minutes. 3 tries in the last 10 minutes to beat us 43-10, get a bonus point victory, and also take away a potential bonus point for us. It was a complete 5-point swing on the table. Absolutely just gobsmacked. And they celebrated hard after they went. So they should have. Absolutely just one of the performances of the year for South Africa. You will not see a better performance from South Africa in a very, very long time, in my opinion. And I want to just, actually, I'll look at the ladder. We'll go to the table after I review the Aussie game, but I don't know, like, it's going to be super interesting how Scott Robinson manages this and coaches this team after that loss. We know how generally the All Blacks generally bounce back after a bad loss like that. But the worst loss in All Blacks history is going to be a big telltale story how Scott Robinson is able to get this All Blacks team back on track from that loss. And we go to So we play Aussie in a couple of weeks at Eden Park, which is going to be, it's looking like it's going to be a huge clash now. I know it's back to our fortress at Eden Park, but fuck, after that performance, there's something you got to be worried a little bit, right? Like, I know I'm generally not worried after an All Blacks loss. I'm like, cool. Other team played better on the day. We'll bounce back. It's okay. I still saw the signs there. It was just not one of our better performances. This was shocking. The defense was very, very, very questionable. I have not seen defense that bad in a very, very long time. But as I said, full credit to South Africa for that performance. Absolutely deserved it. 43-10, as I said. It's just this unreal. I cannot believe it still. And that was the second game of the day. So the Aussies, they played the Pumas before that at 2:30. They actually played in Sydney. I know I said last week that I thought they were playing in like Townsville or something. I was completely way off on that one. Or Gold Coast, sorry. They played in Townsville the week before. I thought they were playing in the Gold Coast. I have no idea why. They played this one at Allianz. It looked like a sellout crowd. Saturday afternoon as well, which is, going about Aussie rugby. That was so good for Aussie rugby to see, especially against like Argentina as well. It's not like it was against South Africa. It's not like it's against All Blacks. Like, they would draw a bigger crowd. It was against Argentina, and it was really good to see a lot of like that green and gold in that crowd there. Obviously, had some blue and white, but it was good to see a bit of passion back in the fans as well. And I saw that with some of the tries they scored too, and it was good to see. And I hope there is still a future for the Wallabies. We've got the World Cup next year. The World Cup in 2 years, excuse me. Obviously, Joe Suoli'i is there now. They've lost Marky Mark, which is a big loss now that you look back at it, but Suoli'i has been playing really well. Aussie just got the comeback win last week against the Pumas, and I wouldn't say it was the most convincing win, and now the Pumas have won this one, so it makes the Rugby Championship super interesting. Argentina getting the win in Sydney 28-26. They led start to finish almost pretty much for this game. They're up 19-7 at halftime. The only time Aussie were leading was they scored an early try with Joseph Suoli'i to go 7-3 up after about 5 minutes or 8 minutes, that sort of thing. Lovely try as well. Just used a lot of his power and speed that he has. But before I get into the game, it's two really strange things for me. Two things I just want to talk about. And the first one I want to talk about is like penalty goals in rugby union. Worth 3 points. Like this game, 28-26, as I said, to Argentina. Australia scored 4 tries to 1. Just think about that for a sec. 4 tries to 1. I've never heard a stat line like that before where a team has lost scoring 3 more tries than the other team. Argentina kicking 7 penalty goals. 7. And I'm going to talk about this quickly because I'm someone who predominantly watches rugby league. You would never, ever, ever see that in a rugby league game. A team kicking 7 penalty goals. I get they're worth 3 points compared to 2, but I think that's such a reason why penalty goals and drop goals should not be worth 3 points, because you kick 2 of them and it's worth more than one unconverted try, excuse me. And I just don't know if it's right. Like particularly the fact that you get quite a lot of penalties you can turn it over not quite easily in their own half, but the opportunity is there if you do it right. Yeah. The fact that Argentina kicked 7 penalty goals, every single opportunity they had with a penalty inside the Aussie half, they took the 3. The one try Argentina scored, I don't think I've seen this ever. Aussie got a penalty in their own half, ready to kick it into touch, get a line out on about the halfway mark. The fly half goes to kick in touch. It looks like he takes a couple steps for their run up to kick into touch, and the Pumas guy from 10 meters out manages to charge it down, which makes it play on, and it goes into the in goal, and he picks up and scores. I've never seen anything like that. That was like 10 minutes in, so that made it 10-7 Argentina, and then, as I said, Argentina led all the way from there. But I think I have a problem with the fact that a team can win a game, like losing the try count by 4-1 when that's like how you score points, and the fact they kicked 7 penalty goals to win this game. It just doesn't sit right with me. I'm just really not sure about it. The second one, If you've watched the highlights, if you watched the game, you'll know what I'm about to say. And it was the last try by Aussie. They were down 28-19 when this happened. There was a minute and a half to go. They kind of had a very, very minimal sniff if they scored a quick try. They spread it left, and this pass, I'm not sure who passed it to him, to Daigunu. It was over a meter forward. It was absolutely bonkers. It was forward out the hands. It floated forward. Everything about it was forward. A quarterback would have been impressed with that pass. It was unbelievably forward. And for a sport that can actually review forward passes, it was absolutely absurd the fact that that try was awarded. And yeah, I get it. Aussie still lost from that, but that actually has a huge, huge impact on the Rugby Championship table. So I'll touch on the Rugby Championship table now before I get into the review of this game, because as I said, looking at it now, Aussie from that try got 2 points from that, right? They got the try to get within 7, and they also got the bonus point for scoring 4 tries in that game, because they scored 4 tries. That 2 points means they go outright at the top of the ladder of the Rugby Championship on 11 points. Every team is on 2 wins and 2 losses, right? But that bonus point has brought them from 9 points potentially to up to 11. Now they're sitting at the top. You got South Africa and New Zealand, they're both on 10. And then you got Argentina on 9. Like, Aussie realistically should be on 9 points. It should be South Africa and New Zealand on 10 points at the top, and points difference just being the only thing separating them. Like, what the heck? Like, I just don't understand how the TMO was able to award that try. The pass was so forward to Daigunu. It was absolutely crazy. I was speaking to one of my mates who had a bet on like Australia at halftime when he could not believe it either. He said he got kissed on the dick, and rightly so. It was appalling, and the fact that they can review it is even worse. Such a bad look for the game. And I said it could impact how the Rugby Championship finishes at the end of the 6 games. And there's 2 games left. Aussie play New Zealand twice, so you're going to have 1 game in Sydney, and they're going to have 1 game at Eden Park. And then South Africa are going to play Argentina twice. So it's going to be super interesting to see how this finishes up. New Zealand are probably going to have to try and beat Aussie twice, and maybe have a bonus point victory in there as well. But absolutely crazy. I could not believe it. And I'll talk about the game now. As I said, the game started, penalty goal by Pumas like the first 2 minutes, but then bang, Suoli'i scored an absolutely brilliant try, I thought. He also assisted the second try to Andrew Kellaway, which really nice touch as well. Suoli'i is really actually coming into his own just in this Rugby Championship. It looked like he maybe grew that extra leg in the Lions tour, and he's scored 4 tries now in 4 games, I believe. And he's assisted a couple as well. He's looking really strong out there, which is really good to see for a Wallabies. Their marquee signing, obviously coming over last year from the Roosters in the NRL. Big money to come over to the Wallabies. He went straight into that end of year tour squad to go to and play against England. Without any Super Rugby experience whatsoever. He played for the Waratahs this year. He's obviously into the Wallabies camp. Again, he played against the Lions tour, and then he's played in the Rugby Championship, and he's starting to score some tries and really come into his own in that role, that really important role for the Wallabies. And hopefully it's getting more bums on seats as well, the fact that he's starting to play well and being a bit more of a feature in this team. As I said, Daigunu, he got that try at the end. He also scored a double. So the third try that Aussie scored, they scored an awesome try. Pumas went down a man with about 15 minutes to go. Aussie went bang, bang with that try. It's just like that. I'm pretty sure it was like, 25 to 7, I think, when this happened. They went bang, bang with their tries to get back into the game. Really good scenes. Daigunu scored an awesome try down the left wing, as I said. But I just found it really, really strange. Like, 1, that forward pass, and then 2, that Pumas were able to win a rugby game 28-26 by kicking 7 penalties. And I just don't know. If I was to imagine the All Blacks doing it, I'd be saying the exact same thing. I'd just be like, what are we doing here? The fact that we're inside their half 7 times and get a penalty, you can either go for touch 5 meters out, get a line. You can either go for a scrum if you trust your scrum and really get one over, maybe get them a man in the bin as well. But nope, they just went for the 3 every single time. Don't get me wrong, they won the game, But they're still sitting bottom of the table despite winning that game because they haven't got the bonus points. They've got one bonus point out of the 4 games that they've played. So yeah, and that would have been in that loss last week. So can the fact that they keep kicking penalties really affect where they finish on this table? It's going to be super interesting and just something I noticed. But credit to Aussie, 4 tries to 1, didn't kick any penalties. I do like the fact that they scored 4 tries in that game, and they went for the line where they could. But fair play to Argentina. They were the better team on the day. Aussies were just the absolute worst enemy inside their own half with the ball in hand. Just could not, just in the ruck, just could not release it whatsoever. It was turnover city. So credit to Argentina getting the win 28-26 in that one there. Quickly, we'll go to the AFL, and we've had the semi-finals just on the weekend. We had 2 games, so we're now into the preliminary finals for the AFL. So the winner of these prelims go into the big dance next weekend in Melbourne at the MCG in the AFL Grand Final for 2025. And we had Hawthorn smashing Adelaide in Adelaide as well, 101-67. Adelaide Crows, the minor premiers, go out in straight sets. Is that an omen for the Canberra Raiders this weekend? We'll find out. And the Brizzy Lions in the first ever Q Clash final, which is so good to see. I've given this Gold Coast Suns a massive rap on this podcast, making the finals and then going to Freo last week and winning by 1. And honestly, on paper, it looks like they had a really good chance going to this game. No Lockie Neal, no Eric Hipwood for the Brizzy Lions. All the momentum in the world. Brizzy just coming off a loss last week in Melbourne against Geelong as well. How do Brizzy bounced back from this? And honestly, Gold Coast came right out the blocks. Their pressure was awesome. They kicked the first 2 goals. Then Brizzy just started doing their things. You kind of saw why they were the premiers last year and just sort of hung in there, kept tight, kept level. And then in that last bit, like the last half of the second quarter, they really started to push ahead. And that last goal by Zach Bailey in the first half really just gave them that momentum edge going to halftime. They had about a 24-point lead going into halftime. And then they just continued on from there. So they showed their premiership worth once again into another preliminary final, as they're winning that one by 53 points. And the fixtures for this weekend, they're absolute doozies as well. Probably, like, if you look at what matchups the AFL would be close to wanting, like, before the season started, it would be to have, like, 3 really good sort of Melbourne teams and potentially, like, a team outside of Victoria as well. So both these games will be played at the MCG this weekend. So Friday night, we've got the old classic rivalry, Geelong versus Hawthorn. We know these 2 teams have had an absolute rivalry for the ages, going back to, I believe, that 2008 grand final where Hawthorn beat Geelong in that grand final, and then there became a curse after that. Geelong beat Hawthorn like the next 11 times in a row or something, but they've had some absolute cracker battles, and they still do. And the fact they now get to battle each other again in a preliminary final to get into the grand final, it's going to be close to a sellout. You're going to have over 90,000 there at the MCG on a Friday night. Geelong are currently a 9.5-point favourite in that one, so it's predicted to be a super close one. The atmosphere will be absolutely rocking for that one. 2 Melbourne teams, 2 really big clubs in the league. It is going to be an absolute doozy. I'm actually pretty keen to watch that one. And then Saturday night, we've got the Brizzy Lions, after their win, heading down to Melbourne as well to play the Collingwood Magpies, the 2023 Grand Final rematch, where Collingwood got the win by like 5 points, I think, over Brizzy. And now Brizzy have a chance to get their revenge back, to get into the Grand Final. Collingwood have had 2 weeks to prepare for this one. This one will also be at the MCG, but we know there will also be over 90,000 people there. However, we know the ratio of the crowd will probably be about 90% Collingwood fans there. They always turn up in numbers. They have the most members, I believe, in the whole league. They will be turning up in voice. Brizzy Lions will be super on the back foot. However, all the pressure, I think, is on Collingwood to win this one. A home prelim final to get into a home grand final. If Collingwood win that one, it's going to be 2 Melbourne teams in the grand final, so it's going to be close to a 50-50 crowd, but I'd love to see Brizzy get there for a 3rd year in a row and going for back-to-back flags. That would be awesome to see. It would be awesome for Brisbane sport as well. Collingwood are currently a 6.5-point favourite, so $1.70 on the money line or something like that. They are not short odds whatsoever to go and win at home to get into the grand final. This will be no easy feat for them to win that one, but it'll be an absolute doozy, absolutely keen as well. That is Saturday night. All right, bit of baseball as well. We've got a couple weeks left of the regular season before we get into the postseason. I absolutely love a bit of postseason baseball as well. I believe there's about 10 or 11 games to go for most teams as well. And just after today, the Milwaukee Brewers, a couple of days ago, they were the first team to clinch a postseason spot in the playoffs, which is good to see. The Philadelphia Phillies, they also clinched their spot in the playoffs in the postseason today. They won 6-5 against the Dodgers in LA as well. It looks like the Blue Jays and the Tigers, they've got like a 99% chance of being there. The Blue Jays, they're looking awesome at the moment. See how they go in playoffs. Their atmosphere is going to be rocking. They have an awesome home ground, or home stadium, should I say. Them come playoffs, they could be super, super sneaky. Tigers, looks like Tariq Skubal, he escaped I believe it was a rib injury, or like in here. Looks like he's going to be okay. He is a huge, huge part of this Tigers' success. And it also looks like the Chicago Cubs and the Dodgers will be there as well. Despite the Dodgers losing today, they do have a few game advantage on the Padres, but it does look like even if the Padres were to win that division, that they would probably snag a wild card spot in there. The Yankees and the Red Sox, so New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox have just finished up a 3-game series as well. I believe Yankees were able to win that one 2-1, which is huge. Does look like both those teams will actually make a wild card spot as well, despite the Blue Jays being top of that division. It does still look like 3 teams in that division will actually make the playoffs, which is pretty crazy to see. Mets, the New York Mets, they have gone on like an 8-game losing streak, though. They just had like an 8-game losing streak. Absolutely shocking considering how loaded their team is. They've been playing absolutely shocking. They've probably nearly blown their postseason opportunity. They have to win like the last 10 of 11 games, I believe. The Diamondbacks, they're neck and neck in there as well in the National League. I'd actually love to see the Diamondbacks get in the postseason because they got into the World Series, I believe it was 2-3 years ago, lost to the Rangers in the World Series. And then I just touched on the Cubs before. I'll just talk about Anthony Rizzo, absolute Cubs legend. He was mainly at the New York Yankees as a first baseman for the last 4 years. He has just announced his retirement, and he retired as a Chicago Cub. He signed a 1-day contract. He didn't play at all, but he retired as a Chicago Cub. And it was awesome scenes as well. So he retired. He actually sat in the crowd as well at Wrigley Field, like where all the home runs get hit as well, all amongst the fans, buying them beers, buying them drinks, that sort of thing. And this would have been one of the coolest things. He was like inches away from catching a home run. Like the fact that someone can hit a home run and it was so close to literally hitting him, he literally went up to catch it. Unbelievable scenes. He botched it. It was no good, but it would have been such a good story if he was able to catch that. What a career for Anthony Rizzo, one of the feel-good guys of the whole league, one of the most liked Chicago Cubs of all time in their fan base. He played the Cubs for 10 years, so he got drafted by the Giants, I believe, and then I forgot where his second team was before that, but he went to the Cubs for 10 years. And in that 10 years, he was a first baseman. He was famous. He won the World Series in 2016, their first World Series in like 106 years or 108 years or something like that. 3-time All-Star, and he's a 4-time Golden Glove as well. So the Golden Glove is awarded for the best defensive player in each position in baseball, in both leagues. So you got 9 positions in baseball, 2 leagues, so there's 18 Golden Gloves to be given out every single season. Obviously, there's just one for his position where he is in his league as well. He's won it 4 times as well. So massive shout out to Anthony Rizzo, retiring as a Chicago Cub. Got drafted back in 2007. So he's had an awesome long career. As I said, massive shout out to Anthony Rizzo. Quickly, we'll touch onto the darts. I got my info from Dad. I had a chat to him today. I said, Dad, give me the lowdown from the darts this weekend. What's happening? He's like, yep, we've just had our World Series of darts finished in Amsterdam over the weekend in the Netherlands. And then he went a bit quiet after that. I knew Luke Littler, that's obviously his favorite, right? I knew he would have been playing, but usually if Luke wins, I usually hear about it. And I didn't hear about it. So I checked the scores a little bit myself. So World Series of Darts, it was the finale. World Series of Darts, obviously 32 players, £80,000 for the winner. I checked it. Luke Littler loses in the final to mighty Michael Van Gerwen. Loses 11-7 in the final. So it was best of 21. Luke Littler was the defending champion in this one as well. NVG getting the win on home soil was really good scenes to see. Despite he lost 11-7 in the final, I watched the highlights and it was not the fact that he missed 180s. He just could not nail a checkout. He went 7 out of 20 on checkouts. He did not have a checkout over 100, which we know how good this kid is, and he's so known for his big checkout, especially the big fish, the 170 checkout. He had a higher average than MGG, and he also had more 180s as well. He had 5-4 in 180s. Just a really bit of an off game from Littler. That's Michael Van Gerwen's 6th World Series title. That's his first TV title in 2 years as well. It's been running a little bit cold just in the last couple of years, probably ever since Littler came, sort of on the scene. Luke Humphries, he's obviously been world number one as well. Those two have been sort of tit for tat. Luke Littler was actually a $1.50 favorite going into this final, and full credit to Van Gerwen, absolutely steamrolled him. I said 11-7 in this final. MVG, they both played their semi-finals before that. MVG, he beat Josh Rock, who's had an awesome year. He beat him in the semi 11-6. He was also an underdog in that one as well, paying $2.10. So MVG has won the semi and also the finals underdogs in his home country, which is great to see. If you're a fan of Van Gerwen, I know Dad's probably absolutely spewing about it. In the semi, Littler, he beat Gerwin Price 11-10 in the semi-final. And what a game this was actually as well. He came back from 9-5 down, which he seems to have a knack of having these big margins to come back from and pulling them back. He won the next 5 legs. So when it was down 9-5, he got back to 10-9 and Gerwin Price got back to 10-10. Sudden death leg. Luke Littler nails, I believe it was double 10 to get through to the final. And very similar thing happened in the final as well. MVG, he was leading 6-3, and then all of a sudden, back to 6-6. And MVG wins the next 4 legs, I believe, go to 10-6, and then it was 10-7, and then finishes 11-7. Beat 100, had 130 checkout to win it as well, when Littler probably had a good chance to get it back to 10-8 in this one. Also, he beat Luke Humphries, the world number one, in the quarterfinal as well. So Van Gerwen has not had an easy ride in this tournament whatsoever. He's able to beat 3 really high quality players to win this tournament. First TV title in 2 years, as I said, in his 6th World Series title for the world number 3. Beating the world number 2, Luke Littler, in the final of that one there. And quickly touch on a bit of golf to finish off the episode. Scottie Scheffler wins yet again. This guy, man. This guy, he is so far the best player in the world. It's not even funny. I said it last week. He was a $3.20 favorite, I believe, going to this tournament. And I've not seen odds like that for someone to win a PGA Tour tournament since the Tiger days. And he got the job done. Despite him being only $3.20, still beat over 100 guys to win it. His 6th win of the season. That's 2 years in a row he's done that. He's the first person, last person to do it was Tiger. Tiger was actually was the only person to win 6 times in a season, going back to 1970s or something. The main difference between him and Tiger at the moment is the fact that Tiger has won 6 times in a season. 6 times. So there's been 6 years where Tiger Woods has won 6 times in a season. I believe a few of those as well were not just 6. They were I think 2 of those are 6 wins. He's got a 7. He's got a couple 8s, and he's even got a 9-win season in there as well. So despite how good Scottie Scheffler is, still a little bit off the mark of, I think, the GOAT of golf, Tiger Woods. He beat Ben Griffin by 1, who is a Ryder Cup rookie this year. He was going for his 3rd win of the season. He's had an absolute stellar season. He unfortunately missed a 5-foot birdie putt on the last hole to get into the playoff, which sealed the deal for Scottie Scheffler. again, no easy ride for Scheffler. Came out of the blocks a little bit slow in the first round. He was 8 shots back of Ben Griffin after the first round. And then Scottie Scheffler, next 3 rounds, pulls out a 4 under round, an 8 under round, and a final round 5 under par. Ben Griffin goes 2 under and 2 under on the weekend. As I said, to lose by 1 to Scottie Scheffler, and the guy just keeps winning. He knows how to win, carrying such good momentum coming into the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black. Not this weekend, but the weekend after. 10 Americans played in this tournament as well, the 12. So the 10 Ryder Cup members of the American squad played in this tournament as well. So Xander Schauffele, he didn't play. He's just having a baby at the moment, so massive congrats to him. And then obviously the other one is Bryson, because he doesn't play on the PGA Tour. And good news for the Americans is all of them made the cut, and 5 of them finished in the top 10 as well. So a lot of their squad is carrying really good momentum heading into this Ryder Cup. So it makes it even more interesting to see how it goes. I talked about last week that I actually really like this European team to go win on American soil since the first time since 2011, I think, the Miracle in Medina, which is absolutely insane, that one. If you get some time, go watch that last day of that Ryder Cup. One of the best days of golf you will ever see. We also had the BMW PGA Championship. That was in England. That was in Wentworth. So a lot of the European Ryder Cup players played that one. That's one of their marquee events. 11 out of the 12 Ryder Cup players played that one. Sepp Straka, he was the only one to not participate in that tournament, just due to a personal matter. Doesn't not carry any injuries at the moment. Hope he's all good though. Alex Noren, he got the win in the playoff, which is good to see. Rasmus Højgaard was the only European to miss that cut as well. So the 10 out of 11 Europeans that played, only 1 missed the cut as well. So 6 of them finished inside the top 20. I think Bobby McIntyre, he missed like the second cut because so many made the first cut after 2 rounds that he actually got cut after the 3rd round. So not one of his better performances, but we know he will be there and competing in Bethpage. And this is one of the more interesting things I've heard to prepare for a golf tournament, and not something I've ever done, preparing for a golf tournament. If you are listening or watching, I did used to play in golf tournaments quite a bit. To get ready for the noise and the hostility and just the overall crowd that's going to be against them at Bethpage Black, because obviously there's going to be a lot of USA chants. There's going to be a lot of banter there. They're going to be completely against the wall. That's what you get when you go on the road, especially in America. It's no different to when the US goes onto European soil. Luke Donald, the captain of the European Ryder Cup team, he's getting the players to use a VR headset. Put on these VR headsets to simulate crowd noise, to simulate like general pressure, to really help them get more comfortable, to especially how that first tee feeling will be. I've heard from players before multiple times that teeing up on the first hole of the Ryder Cup, the tee shot, is the most nervous they've ever been. So much so bad that they actually cannot even put the ball on the tee. Their hands are shaking that much. I've been there before where I've been so nervous that it feels like my hands are numb and I can barely hold the club. I can't even imagine what that's like in a Ryder Cup, and doing it in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So I like it by Luke Donald. Look, anything you can to try and help get you ready for Bethpage Black when you're not on American soil yet. It's going to be feisty. It's going to be hostile, especially in New York as well. We know what New York fans are like. We know what US fans are like. It's going to be loud. It's going to be all against the Europeans. But anything to help, I absolutely love it. Get prepared as best as you can to go win the Ryder Cup. And I said, I still believe that they actually can go win there in Bethpage Black, and preparing like this will only help. So looks like a lot of the Ryder Cup players are heading into quite good form heading into this Ryder Cup, which is super exciting for golf. It's going to be absolutely crackerjack tournament. I cannot wait. Over 3 days, the format being, I believe they do like a 4-ball session in the morning, foursome session in the afternoon. Day 2 is 4-ball in the morning, and then foursomes again in the afternoon. You have 4 matches in all of those formats, so 4 people do miss out. And then you've got 12 individual single matches on the Sunday, one of the best days for on the golfing calendar, the Ryder Cup Singles Day, especially if it's a tight margin. And it all comes down to individual players from there playing match play, Europeans against the US, on US soil as well. I really hope we get a good Ryder Cup. I hope it comes down to like the last few matches. I hope we don't see like a big blowout. We know like one of the most famous moments in Ryder Cup history is, you know, that match with Patrick Reed and Rory, them going toe for toe against each other. And we'll see how it goes. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Patrick Reed won't be there this time, but we know Rory, we know he's hot, we know he's a Grand Slam champion. He has to be such a vital part of leading this European team as a player, being one of the best players to pretty much ever play the game. I think him and Jon Rahm need a huge, huge Ryder Cup to try and get this European team over the line. But that will pretty much do it for this episode of the Skooshi Sports Podcast. As I said, my Women's Player of the Week, Sam Kerr, out of the Chelsea Football Club, getting to 100 goals after her 20 months off with an ACL injury, and the fastest ever player in Chelsea club history, men and women, to get to that milestone of 100 goals, doing it in 128 games. Super impressive. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what I heard, give it a like, give me a follow, give me a subscribe. Tell your mates, tell your friends, tell your teachers, tell your mums, tell your dads, tell your grandparents, tell your cousins, tell your dogs, tell whatever you can. I'm coming off a pretty brutal weekend, as you see, with, I said, all my teams lost on the weekend. So I feel like I'm a bit down on the whole and need some positive encouragement. No more worries for the rest of the year. I have to wait another week for the All Blacks to play. And my Carolina Panthers are 0-2 in the 5-point underdogs against not my Atlanta Falcons, against our division rival, the Atlanta Falcons, in our home opener. I have no idea if I'm hopeful or not. I would probably say no. I'll probably say this time next week, I'll probably be saying how we're 0-3. So Skooshi is a bit down in the dumps at the moment with his sporting teams, but I appreciate all the support anyway. I really appreciate how many people are tuning in and listening and watching and giving me feedback. I absolutely love it and I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much again for watching, and cheers.